Let's do this. This is Silicon Reel, the video podcast dedicated to the people of the London technology startup scene. I am Brian Rose. I also host London Reel, which is a similar format. We have guests like Tim Ferriss, the 4-hour guy. We've had Ministers of Parliament George Galloway, and we even had Max Kaiser here from Russia Today, and he was yelling a lot.
Screaming.
Yeah, he was screaming. He was really mad at Ben Bernanke and all these other people.
He was. Yeah.
He was really angry, yeah.
Not for children, that one.
Oh, no, wait, I censored that one in a big way. My co-host today is Mr. Colin Pyle, who comes to us in London via Toronto, China, India. You've got epic motorcycle rides under your belt. You're now an entrepreneur in London, living the life.
Working on it.
And this was your idea, and it's your fault we're here, which was to basically create a weekly talk where we meet really cool people from the London technology startup scene. And this is episode 7, is that right?
Yep.
And it's going well so far, right?
We've had amazing guests, yeah.
I'm just loving these conversations more than anything.
Fantastic. Hopefully people are enjoying it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the people missing here today are the Beards, who are also a part of Silicon Reel. They are Bryce Keane, Michael Hobson, and Joe Scarborough. And you're going to be seeing their faces rotate through here as well. They run the Silicon Drink About every week, which is fun as hell. If you want to meet people that like their jobs, it's a really weird group of people that are excited about their future. So definitely stop by and check that out. And there you go. Our guest today is Mr. Taavet Hinrikus, who is the co-founder of Transferwise, which is a peer-to-peer international money transfer business. And according to their website, we help people save a lot of money. I like it when it's simple like that. You know, it was like Michael Collison. It was, we make web transfers easier.
Right.
Silicon Reel is, we have real conversations with people. Right?
That's good, yeah.
Nice and simple. So Taavet was Skype's director of strategy until 2008. You have the infamous handle of being the first ever employee of Skype.
Very true.
Impressive.
So I started working with Niklas and Janos when they were first working on the idea for Skype and a few companies before that. So ended up becoming the first employee on the team and had a hell of a lot of fun helping to build up that company from an idea on the back of a napkin to the first few 100 million users. So a lot of good experience disrupting an awesome industry, and now we're doing this again with TransferWise in a different industry, but it's very similarly looking to disrupt something which is an existing but very cumbersome and boring industry.
Fantastic. Let me just finish out TransferWise really quick. You've had funding from founders and co-founders of PayPal, of Betfair, of Wonga, and I think in May you announced a big investment round of $6 million from Peter Thiel's Valar Ventures. Is that correct?
Very true.
Awesome. And then you have all sorts of things like you guys, The Guardian called you one of the 5 startups to watch, and then East London's 20 hottest tech startups. That doesn't put any pressure on you, does it?
I think more than that, we're actually driven by what our customers tell us. So, I would recommend everyone to go and look at the reviews we get from our customers on a platform called Trustpilot, and reading seed is actually what's putting pressure on us and what's driving us. We're seeing there how people are screaming day in and day out how using TransferWise has made a difference in their life, how something which used to be very complicated and very expensive has now turned out to be a very simple and transparent process.
Right, which as it should be. Well, welcome to Silicon Reel, first of all.
Welcome. Thanks for hosting me.
No problem. And you're kind of among guys that have been in finance. I mean, most directly, Colin, you sold your currency brokerage firm in 2008 to, was it JP Morgan at the time?
No, we sold it to just a publicly traded transfer agency in Canada.
Okay.
But yeah, I know the FX.
You know the FX world
quite well.
I worked in finance for a long time, mostly fixed income, but I know FX. And there's nothing that winds me up more than getting ripped off on foreign exchange transactions as a customer.
Yeah.
There's nothing that infuriates me more than when I go to see Thomas Cook or these places in the airport, knowing that I'm getting jacked by bid offer spreads, I can drive a truck through, and the transactions on top of that. And since I've been in the markets, I understand what a bid offer is. And I tell people, I'm like, look at these exchange rates.
Yeah.
They're like 8 big figures away where you buy and sell, and there's transaction fees. And then on top of that, if you use an ATM in a foreign country, I mean, I could get going and going and going. Yeah. So I'm with you on the business model. But I was wondering if you could tell the people that don't know about TransferWise and the whole concept of a peer-to-peer foreign exchange setup which you're building.
I'm actually really hoping to learn from you guys. I mean, you've been in finance for much more than I've been, so I'm really hoping to write down at least 3 tips of how we can improve the business. I mean,
Definitely.
Good. Well, I tried it last week.
I'd be disappointed if I didn't get some tips from you guys.
Definitely.
But going to story of TransferWise, I mean, it's actually very simple. So, I was born in Soviet Union. I grew up in Estonia, and that's where I met Niklas and Jaanus and started working on Skype with them. And during that journey, at one point, I moved from Estonia to London. However, I still stayed on the payroll in Estonia. So, which meant very simply that every month I was getting my salary paid in Estonia in euros, but every month I was having all my spending in pounds in the UK. So every month I went to the bank transferring 1,000 euros to London, and I was expecting to receive 750 or so. Every month I look at my bank account in London and I see that I only got 700 or so. A big chunk of it got missing. It's kind of like someone's greasy hands were there, and just taking whatever stuck to it.
Or me.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great feeling.
No.
At that point, I met Kristo, who is now my co-founder in TransferWise, and he's another nice Estonian fellow. He had moved to London. He was working for Deloitte, doing some consulting here, and he was getting paid in London, but he had a mortgage to pay back in Estonia. So every month he walked to a bank here. He actually had to go to a physical bank branch office because you couldn't make foreign transfers online. So every month he walked to a bank branch office with a pile of cash, and he was making a transfer to Estonia. And similar to me, he realized that the bank is screwing him. The bank is taking way too long time to process it, and he has to go to the bank branch every month. So we met, and we were both kind of scratching our heads. Said, "Hey guys, there's got to be something we can do about it. It's not a modern way of doing it." And we realized that we have a problem where we can actually help each other. So next month we set out to do things in a different way. So what happened is I made a transfer from my account in Estonia to Kristo's account in Estonia. So that's a local transfer, so it's essentially free of charge or very inexpensive. And then he made a transfer from his account in London to my account in London. And then we just looked at the interbank exchange rate and used that. Boom, it worked. And instead of £700, I got £750.
Right.
A big difference. And so we started doing it this way. We even had a couple friends join us, so we had a little Skype chat. We can call it the virtual trading floor. Somebody said, "Hey, I need £2,000," and somebody said, "I need 3,000 euros," and these trades were matching, and we're just doing it. And very soon we had saved thousands of pounds in bank fees. And thousands of pounds, that's equal to a few nice weekend trips anywhere, or you can take a month-long vacation. It's a very noticeable amount of money. So, kind of on the back of this experience, we figured that there are many other people who have the very same problem. And then we thought, okay, let's set up TransferWise. We went about it in a very kind of very lean way at first. So we built a site, we got the license, and we launched it. And as we launched it, we had an article about us on TechCrunch, and 15 minutes later, first guy sent us £2,000. That was a moment of shit. What are we going to do now? Wasn't really thinking it's going to work so quickly. And that was kind of 2 years ago, and now we're sitting here. We've transferred some $200 million of our customers' money so far. So we helped them save more than $10 million in bank fees, and we're growing fast. We started out with only doing pounds and euros. Now we're doing about 10 currencies. We'll add another 10 currencies this year, and lots more development happening in every area of the business. So super exciting, and above all, what's driving us is really getting that feedback from our customers. Seeing how these people are coming to us and thanking us, because it's a problem they've been facing for years, and now we've come up with a way to do it very transparently, very easily, and they're just loving it.
Just real quickly, just to run out the business model, then I know you got a question.
Yeah.
Do you have to go through banking regulators, whether there's money laundering issues or any of that stuff? Because I know you're kind of a peer-to-peer network where you're like, look, I'm just transferring money to this guy on an agreement. Or do you have to go through all that financial regulations and jump through those hoops? We do, and I think it's actually a good thing, because we're dealing with people's money, so trust is incredibly important, and therefore it's good that we're regulated. We're following same rules and regulations as any commercial bank does in the European Union. So we're doing the same checks for anti-money laundering, know your customer,
I think it's all it's required, and it makes sure that there won't be a company starting in a random street where people will just take your money and disappear. So I think if you deal with people's money, a certain amount of oversight is required, and it's good.
Yeah, the regulatory question was right, because actually when I was running my FX business, we got to a certain size, and all of a sudden it's just like, hey, we're going to throw a compliance officer in, and it just drove me crazy. But yeah, so you guys are completely regulated in dealing with that kind of oversight from the UK government, or from, because you deal in multiple territories.
So Europe is a wonderful place because in Europe the regulation is largely unified. So we're licensed by the FCA in the UK and supervised by the HMRC as well. So we do all of that here, and this gives us a license to operate all over Europe. So as we expand to new countries, which we're busy doing, then we have to establish what's the local regulatory environment. We have to apply for the right licenses and follow those rules. So it's a necessary and larger part of the business than ideally I'd like it to be, but it's the way we have to do things, and making sure that we comply with everything is critical for the business.
One of our standard questions we ask after they kind of describe their business model is, why will you win in this space? And if you could answer that, why you guys? Is it the timing you guys did? Is it because you listen to your customers?
I think it's very simple. We're up against the banks, and if you think at how the big banks are doing the business, it is just simply outdated. I mean, if you think about the experience you get from a bank, things are slow, things are expensive. It's just not what you're expecting. So let's go a few steps back and let's think about what's happened in the world at large. I mean, over the past 10-20 years, a number of different industries have gone through a complete revolution. Publishing has changed, aviation has changed. Thanks to EasyJet, thanks to Ryanair, we can all fly for much cheaper. There's much bigger choice, much more transparency. Same thing happened in telecommunication 10 years ago with Skype. Now we're all expecting that we can make high definition video calls for free across the world. So now we're getting to the last dinosaur in town, which is financial services. Consumers have come to expect much faster services, much more transparency, much lower prices across all industries. And now banking is there, standing up and, no, you're not getting it. We're not changing. So I think there is a very large amount of change coming in financial services. We can see this happening right now with all the peer-to-peer lending. We can see it happening with the likes of Stripe. Every part of financial services is being changed. And it's being changed not by the banks. It's being changed by startups like Transferwise, like Stripe, like others, like Funding Circle in the UK. And I think there's a very big structural difference. We're operating as modern online companies without having the balance sheet, which has lots of brick and mortar and so on. We're setting things up in a modern way in our IT systems. We're not relying on mainframes from the 60s. So I think there are a lot of structural differences which make it possible for us to win. And if we're going specifically into what we're doing in money transfer, the other big difference we have is peer-to-peer liquidity. So the fact that we're utilizing our customers' money to make this service available for other customers is a big difference. Every bank you go to, they will wire physical money from one country to the other. So they're using old networks for it. They're using SWIFT for it. So these things are just much more slower, much more expensive. So there's a very big structural difference which enables us to provide a service for a much different price and much quicker than compared to traditional banks.
One of the things that struck me about their business model is that they look at mid rates, in FX. And 10 years ago, nobody knew where the mid rates were unless you worked at a bank. That was part of their power. It was the power of information. It works on corporate bonds. It works on derivatives. And so now, you couldn't have done this 10 years ago, could you? Because would there have been that kind of publicly available information for foreign exchange rates?
Yes, we could. I think 10 years ago, there was a number of large exchanges where we could have gotten this information.
Okay.
Even now, if we talk about the mid-market rate, the whole topic of exchange rate is something which still continues to puzzle me, in a sense that, if you look at...
That's the way they want it.
Yeah.
There are lots of different exchange rates.
People, banks are on purpose hiding this.
Sure.
This is the next big scandal to hit the banks. We look at FT, for example. We see it reports an exchange rate, That's a mid-market rate for yesterday. Now I go to my bank today and I ask them, hey, I want to exchange £1,000. They'll tell me, here's the rate. And I tell them, hey guys, but the rate is different. But they say, no, that's a rate today. I mean, that's the rate you're getting. And then I will tell them, but what about if I exchange £1 million?
Right.
It's a different rate. So, but this way, the banks are charging 300 basis points. It's complete, it's robbery in broad daylight. And, so the way we look at it and the research we've done, on average, you lose about 5% if you make a £1,000 transfer from London to Paris. And it's going to take you 3, 4, 5 days to get there. That's complete.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's utterly ridiculous.
Yeah.
In 2013, taking 5% and 3, 4 days, it's BS. We recently demonstrated getting money from a debit card in the UK to a bank account in Europe in 5 minutes, and for a very low cost of £1, and making the exchange at the mid-market rate. So I think there's just no reason why consumers should not love this.
Okay. We got some hard.
I think we'll probably see over the next years, over the next 3, 5, 10 years, that banks will also probably have to, they have to stop charging 300 basis points. I think consumers will become smarter and they'll go asking for mid-market rates. So I think this kind of embezzlement will end over time.
Yeah, you might be right. But
we're driving it.
Sure. These banks have also owned these markets for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask you a couple hard questions. You have a hard question coming up, right? I've got
Sure.
one.
Yeah.
Now, people come to you and they want to say exchange £1,000 or €1,000, and you have this peer kind of exchange there of some guy that wants to buy euros at this level, buy euros at this level. But I think I heard you on an interview saying if the amount is larger than that, then you guys kind of need to go to a foreign exchange market yourself. And so at that point, you kind of turn into a bank, do you not? Or turn into a trading firm that is kind of reliant on other exchanges. And doesn't that limit you?
So let me ask you a question. What defines a bank?
Okay, or another market player that has to quote exchange.
So what I think what matters to us is making sure our customers get to send money from A to B in a very quick way, very easy to use way, for a very low cost.
What if there's no peer on the other side that wants to do it for the same price?
Then we face a very hard question: do we tell our customer, sorry, can't send money today, or do we decide that whatever it takes, will make it possible to send money? So we decided that in case there's no counterparty at the moment, we'll bite the bullet. We're going to go on the market. We'll buy that money, even if we lose money, because for us, it's more important to make sure our customers are happy. It's more important to make sure the money gets from A to B as our customers want it.
So you make markets in foreign exchange?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can call it that way.
Okay. Will you call up other players, or will you go to exchanges if you have to get the other side of that transaction?
We're set up and connected to a number of different exchanges. Sure. I mean, maybe at one point, if we succeed, we'll become possibly a large exchange ourselves. But that's not. We're driven by helping consumers and small to medium businesses do this. So, we'll do whatever we have to make it work. And as scales get bigger, maybe we have to become an exchange. And hey, if that's needed, then we'll do that.
Would you turn someone down if you said, look, this is going to cost you 3%, it's not worth it, either wait or go somewhere else because we can't provide you that service today? Would you ever do that?
No,
has there been a case?
we haven't. No,
Okay.
actually, sorry, I'm lying. I think it was about a month after we launched when we had a customer make. So we had a limit of £2,000 maximum, and we had a customer make 15 trades of £2,000 in a row.
Okay.
And he actually sent us the money the next moment.
Sounds like a bank on the other side.
I was like,
We'll test these guys out.
and I think we had to send the money back to the customer.
Right.
But that's the only time we've done it. So now we've been continuously expanding the set of currencies. We've been expanding the limits. So now we're doing trades up to £1 million, and I don't see why we would refuse anything. We're set up right now. We're plugged into the exchanges if we need. We have our own liquidity. We are well funded. So that's what we do. Back then, 1 month after launch, it was a little bit different.
Yeah.
Do you ever worry about market players coming into your market that aren't peers, that aren't individuals, that are businesses, or JP Morgan down the street and trying to crush your foreign exchange markets?
I don't see how they would crush it, but I would see this as a sign of we've won if they come.
Okay, so you don't see much funny business going on where big sizes are coming in. Okay.
No.
I'm sure you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because most traders would love to try to exploit anything they can see as kind of an outlier.
Yeah, the one thing, see, you guys don't really take risk because you don't actually give the client the rate until you have their funds, right? So that's where like a guy on a trading floor, to be tricky, would just try to call you up and be like, hey, I want to buy $500,000, and then, you know, maybe not deliver on the trade and screw you guys. But because you wouldn't actually get the rate until you receive the $500,000, the risk is really, there is no risk for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, you will. Yeah, we've very carefully built our model so that we're not exposed to unnecessary risks.
Yeah.
So if you want to get a rate right away, then you can use a debit card, and we'll guarantee you a rate right away. And you know, thinking forward, there's a suite of services that we can offer where you can reserve a rate, and if you're thinking about what businesses need with kind of spot trades and forward trades and so on. So there's much more we can do, and we may decide to do this thing in the future. But right now we've figured that it's simplicity which wins. Getting your money from A to B for a very low cost, very quickly in a super easy to use way. That's our bread and butter, and that's where we figured that none of the other things are needed, like doing forwards or any of that funky stuff is not what our customers want.
And the little guy is the one that's getting crushed right now. If you're a big business player doing forwards with decent size, you can really wind your bank trading floor down to give you pretty decent rates. But the guy doing 1,000 pounds, he's the one that's getting hit hard.
Totally right.
And that's where you guys really.
And our customers, there are people like us. You're from Canada.
Yeah.
I'm from Estonia.
States,
You're
America.
from States. So I mean, we're all immigrants here.
Yeah.
Thanks to the UK for taking us.
Yeah.
But it's people like us who are using us. It's people who have real estate abroad. Lots of Brits who got real estate in Spain. Lots of British pensioners who retired to south of Spain, south of France. It's students. It's these kind of people who use us. Funny enough, we have lots of people using us who work for a bank.
Yeah, sure.
They do. Have banks kind of gotten overtly in your face, or have banks come to you and said, "Stop this"? Or do you think are they just waging their own silent war against you? And also, second, do you think you'll ever be acquired by a bank?
So I think banks, it's kind of very similar to what happened when we're getting Skype going. We're thinking, what are the telcos going to do? What will telcos do? Will they crush us? Will they block us? Will they kill us? Will they buy us and shut us down? All kind of stupid thoughts we had. And the reality is, telcos have done nothing. They've done jack shit. Now Skype will turn 10 this month, and Skype now competes with all the telcos in the world. It also partners with many of them. But Skype owns 30% of long-distance calling minutes. What have the telcos done? They've lost most of their market. Prices have come down. Market share has been lost from telcos, so not much they could have done. And the exactly same thing will play out for us in the money transfer market. I don't see it playing out in any different way. The banks are earning way too much money from this right now, so they will not be dropping their prices until the very last moment. So we'll just slowly keep on growing. We'll keep on earning our market share, and then one point, a few 5 years from now, we'll be competitive with all the banks, and we've achieved certain market share. The banks have gotten their acts together, and then it's going to be happy competition.
That is exactly what will happen. I worked in banking for over 10 years, and you are not on their radar. If you are, they just don't look at you, and they're going to concentrate on what they're still doing best, maybe innovator's dilemma, and not until the very end will they say, oh.
Yeah, I mean, the innovator's dilemma has been researched so much by now. But
they should know.
The sad thing is, but sad thing is, there's actually no good solution. The smart ones, and let's be honest, the bank, there are lots of smart people at banks. The smart guys will realize that a structural change is happening in the market. The best thing for them to do is keep on earning money today, because no bank today will benefit from dropping their prices. They're not going to get more customers. If you're HSBC today, that's not going to make a difference for you. So best thing for you to do is know that the market will change over the coming years. Think about what are you going to do once it happens, but until that, keep on milking.
Yeah, keep squeezing away.
But at the same time, they lose a customer like me, right? So I used you guys last week.
Yeah, but then what are you? You're one out of a
tiny,
bazillion.
yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. They just don't care about the average user, and at the end of the day, they still make money off of me going to you. It's not like they lose completely, right? Because I'm making a transaction that I would have not made. I'm making a transfer to you that I otherwise would never have made. So they're not earning zero. They're just earning maybe a bit less than they would have otherwise.
And I think, also besides us, this is a golden opportunity for a lot of companies to build up competing financial services. I totally believe that banks will get their act together in 3, 5, 10 years' time. But until that, it's a golden opportunity for lots of fintech innovation.
Yeah.
A lot of large companies will be built, and then, the market will change, everybody will adjust, but it takes a lot of time if you're HSBC to adjust.
Yeah, definitely. How was your TransferWise experience?
Yeah, fantastic.
What did you do specifically?
I moved money from Canada to the UK. And at first, it wasn't an option. I emailed you guys, and it was like, why isn't Canada showing up? And they're like, because in Canada, to transfer over, use the SWIFT network, and it's actually quite expensive to send a wire transfer from Canada to Estonia. But your customer service got back to me right away. They opened it up. I made the transfer. The one thing is the fees, right? When you're making, it's HSBC Canada. If I just transferred it from HSBC Canada to HSBC UK, I would pay no transfer fees, but they rate me on the FX. So I went through you guys, and they raped me on the wire transfer fees, but I got a good FX rate. So it's kind of like, at some point, I'd rather just say, hey, why don't I just have a bank account with you guys, and I can transfer internally and get good rates all around, right? And that's what eliminate that problem.
Yeah, we're not open for customers in Canada,
right,
in the way we would like it to be.
Right.
We'd like to be open in Canada so that you can use a local transfer in Canada or pay with a Canadian debit card.
Yeah.
That's something we're still working on. So until that, we have this workaround so that you can transfer money from your account in Canada to our account in Europe, which is an expensive, complicated SWIFT foreign transfer, which will most likely cost you between 20 and 30 Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
But if you're transferring a larger amount of money, you can still make meaningful savings on the exchange rates that you get from TransferWise.
I still wound up ahead.
Okay.
So
PayPal. What do you think PayPal is doing right, and what are they doing wrong right now?
Ooh, it's a tough one.
It's tough because some of their people are your investors. I'm asking a loaded question. I just noticed recently I can hold sterling balances and dollar balances on my PayPal. I had a big transfer recently. They made me switch it to a corporate account. Right. They're not the easiest people to deal with.
So I think PayPal has...
and their FX rates, have you ever done it through PayPal?
No.
Yeah, huge.
Shocking.
So PayPal, I think they've forgotten who their customer is. They've forgotten what got them going. PayPal got going by helping people transfer small amounts of money from one to another. And now, if you look at the user experience in PayPal, it's pretty damn horrible. If you look around at the customer support experience, I haven't heard a single positive thing about it, but I've heard about 200 negative comments about this. And they're fighting 10 different battles. So to be honest, I'm kind of confused what the hell they're trying to do. Because as a user, they're not doing anything to make the service better for me. They're giving me different fees. So if I look at foreign exchange, PayPal charges depending on the country and currency, between 3 to 4% for making a currency exchange.
Yeah. They're the new bank in town, is what they are.
Totally.
They started off as like you said, the kind of the internet, different kind of business model. But now they've turned into this horrible customer service, ridiculous rates, new bank, right? That's the way it feels as a user experience.
The online bank.
Yeah, which seems like, I'm sure they're making a lot of money, but I don't know how sustainable that is.
Don't get me wrong, they have a great business, and as every very large business, it's you get a set of very new challenges, and things are complicated. I just, what I'm confused about is what the battles are in. They're also in a lot of merchant services, so on. So I just don't know what the battles are in. My feeling is that the business of helping people send money is not what they're so focused on anymore. So
Okay.
I mean, I could be wrong.
You know, I was just I'm going to move us right along here. Taavet, you've been in Skype before, and now you're in TransferWise. You've seen a lot of different business models, and this is something we like to ask people here on the show, is that if you had to sign an NDA and be completely out of the TransferWise business for the next 2 years, and we gave you, say, 10, 20 million pounds of startup capital, what would you go do, or what industry really excites you right now, assuming you had to stay in London too?
So I really think London is a great place for fintech. Now I think fintech could be what defines London on the world startup and technology map. You know, we're seeing TransferWise, we're seeing Funding Circle, we're seeing Wonga, you know, even Betfair. You know, there's a lot of success stories already in London for fintech, and many more coming. So I think London as a fintech capital, you know, it's really starting to sound well. So I think fintech in London is an incredibly hot area, and I think the other, you know, very exciting ones are education and health, where we're going to see so much change happening. And you know, maybe as an outsider, it'll be good to go into education or into health. I think, you know, it's going to be a lot of change happening, which will affect many people's lives. A lot of great companies built.
So you talked about fintech as an opportunity. So you're TransferWise, you're tackling the banks on FX rate. What other opportunities in fintech do you think are sort of prime for a real opportunity?
Think about anything you do with your bank today. Debit and credit cards, loans, mortgage, money transfer, information services. Anything the bank is offering is already being disrupted by a number of different companies who are not the banks. So these are all humongous opportunities.
Pretty much everything the banks do, they're doing wrong.
You know, there's an opportunity in building a new online bank, which many people are doing. Sure. And you know, but that's inherently going to be a local game. But that huge opportunity. You know, the guys who are building Bank Simple in the US, doing a great job at this. Then there is opportunities building some specialized vertical solutions like TransferWise. You know, we want to make sure that people around the world can send money anywhere they need to. So you know, it's a thin vertical, but we can do this on a global basis. So many different ways of building large businesses.
So how old are you, Taavet?
32.
32. All right. So if you could make a phone call and speak to the 20-year-old Taavet, I guess back in Estonia, and give him a bit of advice, what would it be?
Buy stock in Skype.
I was about to say that.
I know it's always easy to say that everything you've done has been as right. And actually, I'm pretty happy with where I am, what I've done. You know, lots of experience in various ways. So,
is there anything you'd want him to study more, or to take more time, or to take more risks?
I dropped out from university, which was a pretty good experience, I think. I did go and get an MBA from a business school later, which was also good fun, but I think 1 year was totally enough for that. Anyway, I think, you know, the question is combining various different things, you know. Enough experience working, you know, education, travel. I think, you know, having a wide set of experiences is what helps people be successful. You know, hanging out with different people in your life, you know, making sure you don't get stuck doing one thing too early.
And what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Probably I've forgotten that one.
Fair enough. And if there's a 20-year-old listening right now who wants to, you know, be like you one day, or wants to be part of this whole tech startup scene, whether it be Skype or money or fintech, what should you tell them to do? You know, what one piece of advice, whether they should look to do this or do that?
Learn to code. No, but I think really it's about being persistent. You know, if we look at kind of the world of entrepreneurship, the world of startups, I think people are getting fixated on success stories. You know, people get fixated on Skype. People get fixated on Facebook. The reality is that, you know, even these businesses have gone through hard times, and these businesses are 1 out of a million. You know, most successful businesses get built over a period of 5 or 10 years, So it's all about being persistent, having a goal in mind, and getting yourself ready for a marathon. You can't start too slow, because then you're never going to make it, and you can't be too fast, because then you're going to fall down dead after the first 10K. So I think it's about being persistent, having a goal in mind, and then just slowly but surely building your way towards it.
Good advice. Really good
Very
advice.
good advice, yeah.
I saw that you got some funding recently, and I'm guessing you guys had the choice, or some choices, when it came to VC funding. And I'm wondering, how do you choose the right VC?
VCs invest in people, so you want to make sure you have a match on a personal level. You want to make sure that the guys who invest in you are the people who you're happy being in bed with for the next 10 years. It
10 years.
really comes down to finding people who will complement you, who will help you build a large business. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're from the very beginning, we were looking at investors as kind of an extension of the team. We're looking at how do we get the smartest guys around the table to help us build this business out. There would have been lots of ways to take down money and maybe take more money and better terms, but we figured that we're really looking at making sure we're building the best team around us. So that's why we got the Index involved, great VC in London. We got IA Ventures, was leading us around from New York, great fintech experience. We got lots of people we got Saul and Robin Klein involved in London as well. We have David Yu from Betfair. So we made sure that we have people around us who know how to help us in various ways. We had Max Levchin invest in our seed round, founder of PayPal. He knows a thing or two about building online fintech businesses. So we were looking at what are the gaps and making sure that we fill each of these with one or two people who can help us.
Great position to be in.
Yeah. How do you all agree on a valuation when you have all those people involved? And is it a number that moves around a lot or not when you're getting those kind of investments?
Kind of yes and no. I'd say it hasn't ever been too much of a discussion or roadblock for us. In some ways, if you're at a very early stage, I think there is a certain amount of kind of just like generic market average out there. And there's a lot of kind of VC economics, which as an entrepreneur you have to understand to know how things work and to know what outcomes other people are looking at, how the math works. And then, there's also a question of figuring out what do you want, and where do you think what do you think is right, having some market information. And then I think these decisions are, it's not going to be roadblocks.
And one question we always seem to ask here is people, when you look to hire someone or maybe even invest in someone, what's that one quality that you really need to see in them that makes you want to kind of do that deal?
So I've done a bunch of angel investing, and I actually look at it always as investing in people. So businesses will change. The question really comes down to what are these the right people who are willing to stick to it for the next 5 or 10 years to make that business a success? Do they have that in them? When I look at hiring people, it's actually 3 pretty simple questions that I ask, which is, first, are they smart? Are they the smartest guy for the job? Second, do they get things done? And third one, can we work with them? Oftentimes you have super smart people who get things done, but something gets in their way, whether it's their ego or something else, which just means that in this company you're not going to be able to work with them in the role you'd like it to be. And it happens, unfortunately, quite often. But then, if you get a match of these 3 things, then it's really about giving them the tools to succeed and just watching on the sideline and helping them out.
Good. I got a question for you. Bitcoin, does it scare you or excite you?
It excites me.
Okay. Are you worried that, if there's this one currency globally, then TransferWise is in trouble, or
No.
It's so far down the road?
I think Bitcoin is a great opportunity.
Right.
For us and for many other people. I would draw another parallel from the Skype experience. Skype is a business which is today earning more than $1 billion in revenue, and most of it is coming from enabling people to call regular phones. So if Skype is ultimately successful, there won't be regular phones to call. But the reality is that's going to take a long time. It's going to take another 10, 20 years. In 10 years' time, Microsoft might not be around. So who knows what's going to happen with Skype. So in the same sense, Bitcoin will never take over the world.
Sure, I agree.
So it's a huge opportunity for us and for many other people.
Are you accepting transactions in Bitcoins? Or are there issues around
We don't. We don't because for a very simple reason. So regulatory frameworks around Bitcoin are too unclear. So we're just not feeling comfortable around anonymity, know your customer, all these things when it comes to Bitcoin. As soon as these things get settled in a way that regulators around the world agree, we'd love to work with Bitcoin businesses. Until that, unfortunately, we feel that we can't fulfill the obligations that have been put on us.
Because the bid and ask spread on Bitcoin is huge.
Yeah.
I know that's.
It's massive.
The Bitcoin exchanges they're churning out good money right now.
Sure, yeah.
It's great little businesses.
I went to an exchange and there was no bid. There was just offers.
Yeah.
So there wasn't. I couldn't even see how wide the market was.
Take that.
Yeah. You want some? Here's where it is. Really old school. So.
Yeah.
You want some? You pay the price, or you walk.
Yeah, I lifted the offer and got a couple of Bitcoins. So that was my conclusion. What did I miss? Those are some really good answers, very succinct answers. What did I miss?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think great business. I guess, will banks wake up? And I think banks still control the cash, right? At the end of the day, every user through TransferWise has a bank account somewhere. And so either they jack their fees and they try to sort of hit people that way, or they just start to wake up.
So I think that's again where I hope the regulation will help us. That banks I would be very anti-competitive behavior, and luckily most banks in the world are open governments now. So, so I'm hoping that Number 10 and White House and other places who own these banks will tell them that, guys, that's not a good idea to stop little guys helping customers and building their businesses. So,
Do you think
it surely surely there are risks around that, but I don't think that's going to stop the business.
Sure.
There's going to be a country where there's a local king who owns the banks and still make sure nobody can use TransferWise, but it's going to be a few countries out of 200. So,
will your exit potentially be with a bank, or is that the last thing on your mind?
An exit is the last thing on our mind.
Okay.
We're building a global sustainable business, and we're not really thinking about the exit. So, honestly, can't tell you.
No, some of the great
don't have any idea.
the great companies don't have exits in mind. Look at Steve Jobs or Zuckerberg. Like, they want to build this for their career.
Forever.
Why would they retire early?
Yeah.
Right? They want to build things. So.
No,
That's awesome. You bring a really good perspective. I think having your Skype experience makes you see a lot of things you've seen before as far as patterns. And it's interesting that you say that however successful Skype is, you still have to deal with phones, landlines or mobile phones. And like you said, you still have to deal with banks in some capacity. So it's nice to know that you're thinking about that stuff and not thinking we're going to change everything. And also you talk about like 10-year periods. I think a lot of people, maybe people that don't know enough about the tech startup businesses, they think I'm going to be in for 2 years and 3 years. But we talk to more people that sit in that chair and they're like 7 to 10 years is what we're talking here. You're in bed with your VCs for 10 years.
these aren't small decisions.
No, it's just interesting to know that people are really thinking long term here. So, awesome.
I got, one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Skype revolutionized, changed people's lives. What idea out there now that hasn't fully taken shape do you think has the same scale opportunity in terms of changing the average person's life? Like, I look at Skype, it touched everyone globally, excluding some places, and changed people's lives. My brother lives in China. I lived in Canada for most of my life. It changed our life being able to sort of communicate that way. And do you see something else out there that has the same potential?
Today, maybe not. I think, opportunities for that probably will be in transportation. Maybe also in health tech. You'll have things which will have a huge impact on people's lives.
Right.
And I think Skype is a very unique and very iconic company in that sense. I've lived in 5 countries. I couldn't have lived my life without Skype.
Yeah.
Really.
Most people can't now. Even it's amazing.
Yeah, complete game changer, like you said, and it completely changed the way you communicate with people. Just having that image is it's so different.
Yeah.
But yeah, hard to see the next one is. Maybe it's in life sciences. I don't know.
Yeah, health tech, transportation. Yeah, Elon Musk's getting involved in this crazy, like not teleport, but like this rail magnetic system that goes like 4,000 miles an hour or something.
Yeah, think about building a maglev train between London and New York, which will take you there in an hour.
Yeah, that'll change.
Pretty
the
cool.
world. Yeah,
that's very cool.
You can't really compare that to another new social network.
Sure, yeah.
On mobile phones.
Right. But that's the innovation that I get excited about. This app on top of another app, or this, you just see a lot of the same stuff. It's just sort of adapting things. It's not innovating things. And yeah.
Recycling old ideas.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to open up a TransferWise account because I've got dollars and sterling. I'm trying to juggle them, and it's quite a nightmare, really. Yeah. I mean, I still can't figure it out. I've got both accounts on PayPal at my bank here, and so I'm gonna check you out if you don't mind. Thanks for being our guest. If you're listening to us on iTunes, please subscribe. If you want to see our faces, we're on YouTube channel Silicon Rail. Correct?
Silicon Rail, yeah.
Awesome. We're on Twitter. We would love your suggestions. The only reason we've had these people so far is because former guests have suggested this guy. So if anyone has any ideas, what's the best way? Tweet at us?
Yeah, tweet at us the best way. And yeah, suggestions, if you're interested in getting involved and helping out, again, this is for you guys, and we're here to make it the best we can with the resources we have. And so tweet at us, help out, give us ideas, recommendations.
All that stuff. And we'll be at the Drinkabouts every Friday. Some stop by and say hi. A lot of people have come up to us and introduced us to people you think should be guests, and we'll just keep going.
Yeah.
All right?
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much. Until then, it's about the people. Take care.
They're always hardworking, and that's why I talk about the need for balance, because a lot of the founders here are just so busy focusing on their business, and it's fantastic, but balance is important too, because then you need to be healthy and happy to grow that company to the next level.
That's very true. There's one business that requires all their employees to come to the Drinkabout on Friday.
Is that the Beards?
No, although technically, yes.